Life with Sharon, midday motivation. It is Monday, May 2nd, 2022, and it is a good day to be alive and well. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. I hope you got some rest, taking some self care time, as well as enjoying your family and friends and getting out, doing some social activities, just having some fun. Spring is upon us, and it's time to enjoy the weather because we've been cooped up for so long. And so I hope you've taken advantage of the good weather and will continue to do so. It's a great day to be alive and well. And again, you're watching Life with Sharon, Midday Motivation, and it is Relationships Week on Life with Sharon, Midday Motivation. I'm so excited to talk about relationships because this is an area of life where we all struggle. Let's just be real. Let's just be honest about it. There's no rule book, although there are some things that we can do better in order to make our relationships better. And so we kind of fumble along until we figure out what's right and what's wrong. But we don't figure it out unless we, my favorite word on the show, live intentionally. When we don't live intentionally, then we argue all the time, then we clash, and we don't get anywhere. We're not productive, and when we have a disagreement, and we're not problem solving well because it's all led by emotions. So we're going to talk about some of the things that hinder our relationships and some of the things that are healthy that we do in relationships all week long. We're going to talk about red flags. Going to talk about why couples clash. So follow me on Full Life Communications and you can see all of the different topics that are going to happen this week. But today we're talking about the 7 healthy habits that people do in healthy, successful relationships. So 7 habits for successful relationships. That's what our topic is today. So thank you for subscribing to the channel. Click the notification bell, like the video, and please share the feed. Also, please put your comments and questions on the feed. So if you have any questions, I can answer them. And then I can also too just share your questions. And if you're watching on my page, which is the Full Life Communications page, then I can see your questions and comments. If you watch from someone else's page, which is fine too, because they've shared it, then I won't be able to see your, just letting you know, I won't be able to see your comments or questions. But I do care about them. So I just wanted you to know that. So thank you again for watching. And we're going to talk about 7 successful relationships habits that people do. And that's why their relationships are successful in that way. No relationship is perfect. Let's just start from ground zero. No relationship will ever be perfect because you're bringing 2 flawed people together in a relationship. So therefore, you're going to have a flawed relationship. But what we want to try to do is have the least flawed relationship possible. So when I bring as much to the table as I can, as much of 100%, there's no you bring 50 and I bring 50. Then that's a half a relationship. That's not how it works in relationships. That might work in addition, but not in relationships. So I want to be as whole as possible, as close to 100% perfection as I can be. Although no one will ever reach 100% perfection. But if I'm bringing 50, 40, 20, 30, then I'm bringing half or less than half of a relationship of me, of qualities that are good to this relationship, and I'm expecting it to work out. That's not how it works. So when I work on myself and bring the best possible Sharon to the relationship, and my partner brings the best possible person that he can bring to the relationship, now we can get somewhere because we have both been intentional about doing things within ourselves that we can to be these things that I'm going to talk about today. And these 7 things that I'm going to talk about today that are healthy habits for healthy relationships, successful relationships. This is not an exhaustive list by any means. There's so many more healthy tidbits, tips, healthy behaviors, healthy habits that you can do that make a healthy relationship. These are just the 7 that I chose to talk about today. So maybe we'll have a relationships week 2, and I'll bring some other habits out that will help for a successful relationship. So first, assertive communication. Number 1, assertive communication. And these aren't in any order, so don't think that they're in priority order. But assertive communication is key, as opposed to being a passive communicator, which is someone who just lets everyone else run the show. and doesn't give themselves a voice. And a lot of that stems back from when they were younger and maybe how their voice was, overridden by whoever raised them or whoever they were involved with. And so therefore they lost their voice along the way. So now in a relationship, I don't have a voice. So I'm passive. Versus the other end of the continuum, a person who is aggressive, they call themselves being honest, and not saying that they're not. But when they share their honesty, they're rude in their delivery. They don't care about the other person's feelings. So they may use profanity, they may yell, they may scream, they may use demeaning and belittling words. Well, that's not effective, even though you call yourself being honest. Whereas an assertive person is honest as well, and they are firm with what they believe. However, they do care about the person's feelings that they're speaking to. So they're not going to use demeaning and belittling words. They're going to use words that are palatable to the ear. Because with an aggressive person, even though I might be standing there listening to you, I've turned you off because those words aren't palatable to my ear. And I find it disrespectful that you're speaking to me in that way. So I've already turned you off in my mind. And many people do that. It's not so much that we are saying it. I can stand in there, we could stand there and look at the other person. I'm physically present, but I've tuned you out because that doesn't sound good to me. Or I've walked away, whatever the case may be. But when you're assertive, the other person feels like, even though you may be saying something that is constructive feedback, sometimes that we don't like to hear, but with the constructive feedback, at least I can hear it because of the way the person is saying it. Now it's like, okay, I hear what you're saying. That does make sense. That's something that I can do. Sure, absolutely. If it's something that you want corrected. Now, just because you're assertive doesn't mean that the other person is going to receive it in the spirit with which you have given it. Let's just say all things being, okay, that you did, right by the person. But that person has their own issues. They're going to receive it how they're going to receive it, no matter how great and wonderful you said it. But when we bring two people to the table who are assertive communicators, therefore they know how to receive as well as to give assertive feedback. Now we have two people who have learned how to effectively communicate, and therefore they argue less, they have less stress in their relationship because they know how to communicate and their dialogues go better, and they know how to problem solve. And assertive people separate the emotion from the facts. They have their emotions and they're fine and they're valid, but let's deal with the facts of the situation when we're problem solving so we can then get to a solution. So assertive communication, that's number one. Number two is being understanding. And a part of assertive communication is actually being understanding. People often think that communication is about agreement. Communication is not about agreement. It's about understanding. Because when I can listen to you and hear what you're saying, and now that you've explained it, I can understand what you're saying, but it doesn't mean that that's my point of view. So I can say to you, you know what? Now that you said that, I understand. I get your line of thinking is what I'm saying. However, this is my line of thinking, and I go on to share my line of thinking. So I just disagreed with you, but I wasn't disagreeable. And now we walk away with our relationship intact. I understood you, you understood me, and all is well. And we disagreed, but all is well because we didn't dissolve into that emotional place where now it's like, well, because you disagree with me, I don't like you, or I don't like your particular opinion. And so therefore, our relationship can no longer exist on this level because you know how we do, we get caught up in our feelings, and we say things, we get mad, on and on and on. But when we can be an understanding of someone else's position, even when it doesn't agree with ours, now we're being assertive communicators. Now we can listen to one another and provide constructive feedback, but also to receive constructive feedback, as well as I can share a differing opinion with you without being disagreeable. That's a certain level of maturity, emotional maturity that takes to get there. And as we can see on social media, online, a lot of people aren't emotionally mature enough to handle disagreement of someone else disagreeing with their opinion. Why do we think we're going to agree with most people anyway? We're raised in different homes by different people who have different parenting styles, different beliefs. We're from different cultures oftentimes, and we're from different worlds oftentimes with community and things that we believe. So why do we think we're going to agree on many things? We're not. So let that be a given. And it's okay, because truth be told, you want someone to be understanding of what you think. And if you want someone to be understanding of what you think, even when you disagree with them, then you need to do the same for them. They want the same thing. So since we want the same thing, let's work toward giving one another in our relationships that same thing. So being understandable without being disagreeable. The next one is not being judgmental. People go to counseling because they don't want to be judged. And we find the family, friends, and people who we know are too judgmental. I just want to say what I want to say without you judging it. I want you to be able to hold what it is that I say, nurture what it is that I say, nurture what it is that I feel without judging it. And that's part of the issue in this world with people when they have certain issues. They don't want to be judged. I just want you to listen and hear what it is that I'm saying. That's it. So being non-judgmental, you know that's what you want. I know that's what I want. And again, if that's what I want, then of course that's what I need to do for the next person. Non-judgment. You can feel the way you feel. You can have your opinions, and I'm not going to judge it. And do the same for me. So when we have, again, two people working on that same page, the relationship has less stress and it's more successful. The next one is being accountable. When you're in a relationship, you need to be accountable for your time. You need to be accountable for your money. Like if you're in a marriage, where's your money going? Where's your time going? How is your time being spent? What are you doing? And how are you going about doing things in this marriage? And so you are accountable to your spouse. You are accountable to your partner. When you're single, you don't have to worry about that. And many people, truth be told, need to stay single because and we're going to get into this a little bit later in the week with the conversation, they go into a relationship with a single mindset, which many of us do because we're not taught how to be married. But a married relationship mindset is about a team, not an I. And so therefore, I need to have a relationship mindset or a marriage mindset versus a single mindset. But again, I don't want to get into that topic because we're talking about that later on in the week. But that speaks to accountability. We in relationships need to be accountable to one another with how we do things and what we do and when we're doing it. And a lot of people don't want to do that, yet they're in a relationship and they wonder why it's not successful. You can't be selfish like a single person. And I don't even mean bad selfish. Single people can be selfish and it's healthy because they don't have to be accountable to anyone. But not in a relationship, you can't be selfish. The relationship, in the relationship, you need to be selfless. That's again, we're going to talk about that in a second. Well, actually, I might as well just go there now. Being selfless versus selfish is one of the 7 behaviors, ways, habits of successful people in a successful relationship. Because it's not just about me anymore. It's about us. It's a we. It's a team approach. And if it's always about me, how can we have a successful relationship? We can't. So we have to be selfless. And can I tell you, it's a hard thing to do. Many of these things aren't easy. But when we call ourselves wanting to be in a successful, healthy relationship, these are the ingredients. And that's why you need to think long and hard before you marry someone about what it takes to be in a successful marriage or even being in a relationship. Some people don't even, you just need to be single. Because if you took it seriously, if you are intentional and you think about what it takes to be in a successful relationship, can I be accountable for my time, my money, my resources, all of this stuff? Am I an assertive communicator? Can I be non-judgmental? Can I be understanding? Can I be selfless? It's like, wow, I don't have to be those things as a single person. Absolutely. But we're talking a whole other ball game when we're talking about a relationship. So we need to think long and hard about if we're up for it. And if you're not up for it, it's okay. But don't pretend. Let's stop pretending and getting in these relationships. And now we're just ruining someone else's life for years at a time when we know we weren't ready. But listen, if you want the relationship, get ready. Prepare yourself by working on yourself with some of these things that I'm talking about today. Let's stop living haphazardly and just going into these relationships haphazardly and expecting them to work out. We need to do work on ourselves before we jump into something like that. That's a relationship, a long-term relationship, a marriage. It's serious. And we don't take it as seriously as we need to because we don't even prepare. We prepare for the wedding, glorious, glamorous wedding. That's a few hours out of one day. Marriage is supposed to be a lifetime till death do you part. And we're not even preparing for it. So let's be intentional when we say we want to get into a relationship, a long-term relationship or a marriage by working on ourselves beforehand and doing what we need to do to make ourselves better so we can come into the relationship as whole as possible because we're all broken. But let's go in with the least amount of brokenness possible by working on some of these things. So the next one, trustworthiness. As you know, it sounds like it's a given, and it should be. But we need to intentionally be trustworthy and look for that quality in our mate. And when we don't find it, that's an issue. Trustworthiness is foundational. If you can't trust the person that you're with, why are you with them? Trustworthiness is key. I need to be able to trust you with my heart. I need to be able to trust you with my children if I had children before we got together. And even if we had children together, can I trust you with them being their parent? Have you worked on yourself good enough prior to us meeting that you know how to be a good parent? Because you have some of these qualities that I'm talking about right now. Again, there's no perfection, but there's a certain level, a certain standard that you need to be thinking about for your own self before you step into certain roles in life. Can I trust you in this role as spouse? Can I trust you in this role as parent? Can I trust you in this role as a person with a good work ethic? Can I trust you with my heart? So trustworthiness goes far. But we have to make sure that when we're dating and when we're in relationship with someone or about to be, we're going down that path. What do we see? And tomorrow we're going to get into the 7 red flags to notice when dating. So we're talking about the healthy habits of a successful relationship today. But tomorrow we're going to talk about the 7 red flags, and there's more than 7, but the 7 red flags to notice when dating. Not going to get into that because, I could, but I'm trying to make this brief. So today we have being assertive, and these are the 7 habits, healthy behaviors in a successful relationship. So we have assertive communication, being understanding, being non-judgmental goes along with, being understanding, being respectful. You need to be respectful of me, of my time, of who I am as a person. You need to respect my boundaries. And if you're not respecting my boundaries, you don't respect me and you don't respect what I say. I need you to respect my personhood in this relationship, and I need to do the same for you. And when we both have that mutual respect, now we can get somewhere. So respect is big as well. And we have accountability and we have being responsible. Are you responsible with your money? Are you responsible with your time? You see, a lot of things go back to the same thing, the same questions. Are you responsible? Can you handle this assignment? Can I trust that you are going to do this because you are responsible? You're a responsible person. You intentionally get things done in a responsible way versus an irresponsible way. How have you proven that you are a responsible person? It's important in a relationship. It's important as a single person too, but you don't have to be accountable to anyone. So do you, right? But in the relationship, you have to do the relationship, not you. So you need to be responsible in all aspects of the relationship. So, selfless and trustworthy. So those are the seven. We have assertive communication. We have being understandable and non-judgmental. That's all one. We have being respectful. We have being accountable, being responsible, selfless, and trustworthiness. Those are the seven. So today, talking about those things, I hope that you look over your relationship and your marriage and see where you fit into these categories, where your strengths are and where your challenges are. And it's okay if you have challenges in those areas, but you can come up. All it takes is intentional living. Think about it. You know what? I'm not being as selfless as I can be. I need to work on that. And that's all you do. And talk to your mate about it. Hey, listen, I watched the show today, or have your person in the relationship, your spouse, your mate, watch this video. Let's talk about where we're strong and where we may have challenges, and do it together. And that's a way of bonding with your mate. Let's challenge ourselves to do it together in this relationship so we can make it as healthy as we can. Now we're living intentional. Now we're shoring up our relationship that it doesn't dissolve. Now, of course, any relationship can dissolve at any time. Not saying that this is you do this and now it's not. Of course not. But these are ways that'll help it along the way to stay, to have some longevity, and hopefully the longevity that both of you want. So hopefully this helped you today. Hopefully it will go a long way in helping you to develop healthy habits for a successful relationship with you and your partner. I thank you for watching today. Those of you who watched live, and those of you who will watch on the replay, I pray that this has blessed you today. And all week we're discussing all things relationships. And tomorrow, the 7 red flags to notice when dating. The 7 red flags to notice when dating. The red flags are usually always there, but we ignore them for many reasons. And we're going to talk about why we ignore them on Wednesday. But tomorrow, the 7 red flags to notice when dating. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the feed, and click the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. God bless you. Shalom.